all my Crimsonites, and welcome to the Crimson Cure channel, where we embrace our femininity, increase our womanly value, and celebrate our brothers. So join me on our feminine journey to learn, heal, and grow. Hey there, my Crimsonites, and welcome to the Crimson Cure channel. I'm your host, femininity coach, and author of the Crimson Cure, and this is my perspective. So welcome back. We are doing episode 3 of Harlem season 1 review of the episode Rainbow Sprinkles, and we're just gonna jump right into it because the titling of this episode is really interesting. Rainbow sprinkles. When you put sprinkles on something, that's just the stuff on top. Right? It's the garnish. It's not of any substance. When you have a cake or you have a cupcake or muffin or whatever, or ice cream, and you put sprinkles on it, that's just the little sweet stuff that go on over the top. It's superficial, right? It's the superficial stuff. It's not the in-depth, the body of whatever it is you put the sprinkles on. So it was kind of interesting to name this episode Rainbow Sprinkles because it was really all about surface level things, right? So I'm just going to go from one character to the other and just give you a real brief about some of the things that they did in this episode. And in this episode, we're going to start as usual with Camille. So Camille ended things, as we know, with Ian. And then she realizes that Ian is back from Paris permanently. And he also has a fiance. So Camille feels some type of way about the whole fiance thing. And she's whining and crying about this to her girlfriends, right? And the thing about it is, she ends off things with him. And to pursue a career that she's not good at. Camille is not a good professor, okay? Camille is not a good professor. She's not good. She doesn't run that class well. People, they mention in the show how people are always lined up. There's a waiting, like a waiting list for her class. Who knows why? Probably because she looks the way that she looks. Because her class isn't very informative. It's not very good. But in any case, because she doesn't even have tenure. But in any case, she left off things with Ian in order to pursue a career. And now she's salty that he comes back to the city, but not for her. He didn't come back to get her. He didn't come back to make amends or to do anything to get her back, although he's not avoiding her either. He's not avoiding her. He's not acting like she don't exist. He's not acting as if they never had a relationship. He's actually facing it kind of more head on that, okay, you're my ex. And we actually had a deep relationship to the point where I wanted you to come to Paris with me, right? You didn't do it. You wanted to stay here. Even though I had provided a way for you to get what you wanted and I get what I wanted, but you decided no, you were going to do what you wanted to do. And so now the situation is she has to deal with the consequences of that choice that she made years ago. Like she has to deal with the fact that he didn't just drop off the face of the earth so she wouldn't have to deal with it again. He's back in the same place that they were at, all the places, all the people that they knew together. He's not avoiding none of it. Okay, so they keep kind of running into each other because he's not feeling no type of way in terms of trying to avoid her. She's the one making a big deal about not feeling no type of way about him and avoiding him and all that type of stuff. So she's whining and crying to her girlfriends, and really this was a really interesting show for her. She's whining and crying to her girlfriends about him, but she's not taking any accountability. She'll say, well, I ended off things with him as a boastful thing to say, but she's not dealing with the fact that I ended off things with him. Now I'm the odd man out. I look stupid because had I stayed in there, he wouldn't have had a different woman as a fiance. I would have been his fiance. I would have been his wife. Now he about to get married to a chick. And I can't say nothing about her because she's pretty. He want her. I can't say he took a step down or he settled or none of that stuff. Okay? So she's not doing any type of reflecting. The only thing that she's doing is whining about it. And then talking about, oh, well, I'm just over him. I'm just going to focus on my career. A career that she suck at. Now, this is the same episode where Whoopi Goldberg steps in as Dr. Pruitt, who's the head of the anthropology department, who is Camille's supervisor. She's taking the place of the lady that got suspended, right? And so immediately, because Dr. Pruitt is a Black woman, Camille thinks that this is going to be easy breezy, lemon squeezy for her to actually get tenure, because she thinks that Dr. Pruitt is part of the hyena clan, that she's part of the sisterhood clan, where she's just going to, sisterhood her way through things and not have to work. The way that the previous lady, Robin, was going to do her. Just sister girl her in on some we women, we got to stick together type stuff. The thing that she's running into with Dr. Pruitt is that Dr. Pruitt's not down for that. And Dr. Pruitt sees through Camille. She sees Camille for who she is. She's not beguiled by anything that Camille says. Anything. Dr. Pruitt sees her. And this actually makes Camille very uneasy around Dr. Pruitt. She's trying these tried and true sisterhood ways to schmooze with Dr. Pruitt, and they're not working. Dr. Pruitt don't want to commiserate with her on nothing. She's there on business. She's doing her job, and she's expecting actually Camille to do hers. And as she observes Camille, because they open up on the wrong foot, so as she observes Camille's actions, Dr. Pruitt is not impressed. But she keeps asking Camille to do things in an effort to see what she's got. What does Camille got as a professor? What does she got? Why should I give her tenure? Why should I choose her? Right? And extend her career or give her a boost in her profession. She's trying to see what Camille's made of, and Camille's showing her what she's made of, and Dr. Pruitt is not impressed. So we move to Quinn. Quinn meets a zaddy on one of those date naps, right? Now, we know the running gag with Quinn is that every dude that she meet either catfish her real bad, or he just ain't nothing when she meet up with him. So she's not really vetting anybody. She's just desperate to have a man give her some type of positive attention or whatever. So she finally meets this white guy who is, he FaceTimes her. So the FaceTime actually proves that he's who he says he is, and he's the same guy in the pictures that she likes that's responding to her. So he asks her, like, where do you want to come? Where do you like lobster? Where you want to go? I'll meet you. I'll text you the time and place to meet for our date. So she's all super excited. Her friends are like, but you allergic to lobster. You know what I'm saying? All this other type of stuff. So she's like, I don't care. I'm going. I'm dressed. I'm doing all this stuff. I'm showing up. So she ends up showing up to where he says there's going to be a date. And it's like an office building. So when she gets in the office building, it's confusing because this lady comes out like a secretary. She's like, oh yeah, he'll see you now. He'll see you. So she's like, he'll see me now. So she like, well, is dinner gonna be held here? She's like, oh yeah, food is served. So Quinn like, okay, what's going on? So then she go in only to realize that this is a seminar that this man is running. And it's like a pyramid scheme. He got a whole pyramid scheme going that he done invited all these women. It wasn't even just her. It was like all these different women. And so one of the ladies lean over to Quinn and say, is the date going to happen after this? So Quinn like, oh my God. So, she's realizing that this wasn't even a date at all. this man was not interested in her romantically at all. He was just on the app gathering people to come to this seminar that he was hosting, and he didn't tell nobody it was a seminar. So Quinn is all messed up. Quinn is jacked up, okay? Quinn doesn't know her butt from a hole in the ground. She looks to be the most put together outside of Ty, but Quinn is probably one of the most messed up. So we get to Angie. So Angie gets involved sexually with another Uber driver, okay? So she meets this Uber driver, and he's talking to her and stuff like that about artistry and, you know, singing, and he's a poet and all this other type of stuff. So she like, oh, I like you. So she ends up getting out of the Uber, but not getting his number. So interesting to note, she uses Quinn's Uber account, so everybody thinks she's Quinn. And she does nothing to say otherwise. She lets them believe that. So she gets out of the Uber, forgets to get the man's number. So she's all on the Uber app, constantly making requests and then canceling them when they're not him. So she did that so many times that she got Quinn's Uber account actually suspended. So later on, after in the episode, the man shows up because Quinn actually ordered some food. So the man shows up with the food because he was doing like Postmates too. So she like, oh, it's you, you know what I'm saying? You showed up. He's like, oh yeah. So she like, oh, let's get out of here, you know, or whatever. So the next thing you know, she's in the front seat of his Uber, and he's like, you know, lickety split. You know what I'm saying? Like he lickety split, right? So she's like enjoying that, right? So he get dumped that. So she like, ooh, now let's go up to your place so we can have sex like adults. So he's like, we here. She's like, I know we here, but let's go up. He said, no, I live here. I live in this car. My car is my home. And so she was like, what? Now, mind you, she don't really got the right to be up in arms about it. Girl, you ain't asked him no questions. You don't even know this man's last name. You don't know nothing about him. So I don't know why you surprised to find out anything, because you didn't ask him anything. You asked him nothing. So in any case, she didn't ask him nothing. So she was like, wait a minute, you live, we've been riding around in like your home? He was like, yeah, because, you know, poetry don't exactly pay, you know, so I've been doing this to make money. Now, mind you, it was an interesting situation because she hurried up and she's like, oh my God, like, and she was like, oh, I don't even got a car to live out of. As if she said it as if she was in a better situation than him. Mind you, Angie is homeless. She's staying with Quinn. She homeless. You homeless when you got to stay with somebody you don't pay no rent or nothing like that. You homeless. This is not your place. They providing you with somewhere to sleep, like a shelter, dude. Just because you go into a shelter don't mean you ain't homeless. So she like, oh, I gotta go get out because I gotta go take this little job offer that I turned down before, because basically I'm not trying to end up like you. Now, mind you, this guy might be homeless, but he work every day. Angie don't work every day. But the situation is he was looked at as a bum. She's in the same situation or worse, and she's entitled, which I think is a real interesting way for the writers to write that. Very interesting, because it actually points out the double standard that this society has between men and women. See, we don't like to call women bums, just like we don't like to call deadbeat mothers deadbeats. We don't like to do any of that, because somehow that stipulation of women having to provide for themselves, somehow women get a pass whenever they are adults, sane, able-bodied adults that don't take care of themselves. Somehow women get a pass for that, but men don't get a pass for that because men are supposed to be providers. Well, this is feminist, you know, this is a feminist place. So women have the right to work. So you shouldn't be in any worse situation than a man. The expectation should be the same for you to have your own place and standing on your own 2 feet too, as an adult. But it's not really like that. And so I think that the writers did actually a really good job of juxtaposing them two things put two people in the same, pretty much the same exact situation, a man and a woman, and see the reaction. Because I know a lot of women who watched that was like, oh, he a bum. But do you think Angie's a bum? See, we don't like to say women are bums. When I was on the Lapeef Network and said that Rick Ross's baby mama was a bum, see, nobody liked that. Nobody liked that. Well, how's she a bum? She just trying to get provided, but she a bum. She sat up there and told the court she was making less than $200 a month as a grown individual with children. Bum. You see what I'm saying? So I like that they did that situation. I thought that was interesting. So now, lastly, we move on to Ty. Now, mind you, Ty is the only one that's actually a boss in this situation. She's actually a CEO of a company, but Ty doesn't carry herself like a CEO, because the first problem is that Ty don't care nothing about her appearance value. Ty do anything. The second issue with Ty is why she always got time to kick it and hang out. If you are the CEO of a dating app that has taken off and you are basically wealthy off of this dating app, why we don't ever see you working? Why we don't ever see you coding? Girl, bye. You always available for a chit chat and a coffee. I don't know no CEO that's really running a successful business that's always available to kick it and chill every day. She should be the hardest one to get a hold to. She really should be. Ty, you think you could come out for us at dinner? Girl, I don't know. I might be able to do it. Can we reschedule that? She ain't got no personal assistant that you see that helps her with scheduling and helps her with her business. You don't never see her coding. You don't really never see her working. You don't really never see her running meetings. You don't really see Ty doing what a CEO does. And I think that that's interesting writing too. I don't know if they intentionally wrote her without that aspect of her. They don't even really allude to it well, which I think is interesting. But anyway, the one night stand that Ty ends up having with that white girl ends up that the white girl is the interviewer for the Forbes interview, right? So when the white girl walks in, Ty looking like, what? This you her? And so Ty's like, well, did you know who I was? And she like, no, because I'm the last minute fill-in person. I wasn't even the original person that was supposed to do the interview, which I find to be not realistic, because even if she was a stand-in interviewer, you don't know they don't tell you who your subject is. You don't do no research on your subject. Ty would be the CEO, which would mean she would have some type of social media with at least a professional shot of her nowhere. So you ain't know who that was, that you didn't know you was gonna come and walk into this woman's office and interview her, and y'all done had a sex romp or whatever, and so you show up the next day. She didn't look surprised to me, and then she's like, oh, it's awkward. I don't know if they intended on writing it like that, or if that was just a mistake or something, because it didn't seem like a realistic situation to me. Anyway, so they end up having an interview. So the lady starts asking her real awkward questions. She started asking her about why she did an app that was focused on queer people of color. Okay. And so she was like, yeah, because it's an untapped market. I saw a need, I filled it, which is why I'm successful. She's like, yeah, but in your personal life, you don't want to date a non-POC. And she like, I mean, well, if she was caught off guard, which is actually another trait that's not really tied to a CEO. How you ain't really thought about what kind of questions might actually come your way. Here you are, the CEO of a successful, as they call it in the show, tech company, but you all around in every lesbian bar, scooping up every chick. Where's your presence? Ty doesn't have a good appearance value. It's always compromised. right? It's always compromise. She doesn't carry herself like a real boss. So here's the thing. Let's go back into these situations because I told you what they did. Now, what I'm going to do is give you an alternative. And this is really for the young ladies who watch the show or who's listening to me. And you watch shows like this one or other ones like it. And it seems to be that these characters are showing you how to respond in certain situations and like it's cool. It's not. Let's go back to Camille whining and crying about Ian. Instead of whining and crying to her friends about Ian and talking about how men suck, really she should have done some reflection as to why she's not in the position that really she wanted to be in. If she wanted to be with Ian, why wasn't she? If she loved him, why didn't she adhere to his vision? He had laid out a vision for her and a plan that was actually very well executed. So why didn't she do that? So she really should have had a moment of self-reflection. I didn't do well. I chose what was quote unquote best for me, but I'm not actually doing well. And it ends up, he actually did what he said he was going to do. See, the men, the interesting part is the men keep getting written as functional and the women are being written as dysfunctional. And I doubt that if you're paying attention, that you're not really seeing that part. Let's go to Quinn. Why is Quinn so thirsty? Instead of rushing out to see who is going to say yes to her, why don't you spend time talking to these men? This is why you keep getting catfish. This is why they keep talking to you in any kind of way and treating you in any kind of way and standing you up and all this kind of, because she doesn't even give any proper time to speak to anybody before she's waiting. She rushes out to have a successful date that she can come back and tell her friends that she had. So she's not even really, so what she's doing is stupid. What she should do is talk to these men and vet them before running out trying to go on dates. Talk to them. And then you'll be able to figure out what they own, whether they on something serious or whether they're on some playtime or whatever it is that they're doing. Talk to them about it. She don't talk to them about it. She does no talking. Just rushing in and out of dates from date naps. Let's go back to Angie. She don't vet nobody either. She's just as bad. She doesn't have any more success than Quinn does. She has more sex than anybody because Angie is a 304 and she doesn't mind having sex with anybody. Angie will give her body to anybody. Okay, she don't mind as long as she getting pleasure and giving pleasure, she's okay with it. She don't care what situation it is and she don't got no shame in her game. But what she should be doing is instead of being judgmental about what he ain't got nothing and this person ain't got nothing and what this person do, Angie needs to sit back on some self-reflection. She grown. You living in another grown woman's house. You be running up her bill. You basically steal her identity at times, things of that nature. You're a horrible friend. You're not a good companion. You don't give good advice. Your life is in shambles. Get yourself together. But she's a mooch and a leech. And finally, Ty, she's running around here being toxic. She don't care nothing about her external values, nor her internal ones. She doesn't understand that her internal values affect her external values. Her appearance value, which is internal, will affect her profession. And it did. It did. Because she came off as a disinterested, I run through them type of thing. And that's what that lady got out of that. Which is why she challenged her so hard on the interview and made her uncomfortable. Now, the interview was part of her profession. So she didn't look good in that interview. And she had to actually call that girl back and ask her if she could redo that interview because it was that bad. She didn't want it to run to print. Because her public appearance value and her profession would have been negatively affected. So when we watch these shows, you want to think about what they're doing and try to think about what you should do in those situations. What a red pill feminine woman would actually do in those situations. All right? All right. So sound off in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Like, share, subscribe to the channel if you have not. Once again, I'm your host, The Crimson Cure, and this was my perspective. Bye-bye, Crimsonites.
Hey guys, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. And if you've got more to say on the topic, leave a comment down below. Also, don't forget to support our sponsor who so graciously supports this channel by clicking the description box and the link for A-Game at agameherbal.com. You can go ahead and get a 10% discount off of your next purchase using the code Kendra10. This has been yet another Crimson Cure production, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.